Welcome to the day 3 session on Selenium WebDriver and Java training from 5 Elements Learning. We are going to today start discussion about Java as a programming language. We will see today what is Java, what do we mean by the word program, how do we set up Java environment in our system. We will then have a basic walkthrough of the Java concepts and see a few example programs. Before we start our discussion about Java as a programming language, let's first understand that what do we mean by the word program. So anyone who would like to tell me that what do you mean? What is your understanding of the word program? Right. Set of instructions is what we understand, okay? So let's just elaborate it a bit. Set of instructions which is given to a computer with input to get a desired output. Okay, so you give a set of instructions with some input to the computer to get a desired output. Now the program contains two important parts. One is the syntax and the other is the logic. Okay, or we call it as the algorithm, or we call it as the pseudocode. Okay, the syntax of the program can change from one programming language to another. But the pseudocode or the logic or the algorithm doesn't change if I'm changing my programming language. Okay, for example, let's say you want to calculate area of a circle. Now, do you think that the logic to calculate area of a circle, will it change if I'm changing it or if I'm writing the program in Java or Ruby or Perl or Python? Do you think that the logic to calculate the area of a circle, will it change if I change my programming language? No, right? The logic is going to remain pi into radius. This is not going to change. But the syntax, the way I'm going to write down the program will change if I change my programming language. Okay. Now, as we are learning Java, in the initial few days, we are going to stress upon the logic part of learning the programming, and then we will move on to concentrating our efforts on the syntax part of learning the programming. Okay. The reason being we need to understand that Selenium is a tool which can be used with either of the programming languages. So I want you to understand that the way we are going to learn Java, we are going to learn Java in a way that if you have to use Selenium with any other programming language, you should feel enabled to do so. Okay? So my idea is to not to teach you Java, but to give you a very strong foundation of a programming language so that if in future, if you have to use any other programming language with Java, you are able to do so. Okay. Now to set up Java in our system, you have to install Java JDK 8 on your system, which I showed you guys last time. Select whichever development kit is according to your operating system. Say you accept the license agreement and download that particular development kit and install it. Once you have installed it, go and download the Java Eclipse Kepler version and get the very first. software. Okay. Once you have Eclipse downloaded on your system, it doesn't, you have to go and extract its content. You have to go to the package where Eclipse is available or downloaded and go to the Eclipse exe, right click on it and say you want to send it to the desktop. So create a shortcut of it. So this is how you would be installing Java and Eclipse on your system. I hope you all have set up your system appropriately. So what is Java? It is a programming language and a computing platform which was first released by the Sun Microsystems in the year 1995. You will now find Java everywhere in wearable devices, in laptops, in supercomputers, in gaming consoles, in cell phones. Okay? And a lot of applications will not work until unless you have the Java component available on your system. So you will be finding Java almost everywhere. Some of the characteristics of Java as a programming language. It is an object-oriented programming language. What do we mean by the word? We will see shortly. It is robust, portable, architecturally neutral. We will see about what does that mean. And multi-threaded. Now, let's talk about the concept of object-oriented. So as I've said, Java is a pure object-oriented programming language. What does this word mean? So everything around us is an object. Okay. So everything around us is an object which has some attributes, also known as properties and functions. Okay, example, if I say that I am an object, you guys are an object, we belong to something called as a class. A class is a template or a blueprint from which objects are derived. Object is also known as an instance of a class. Instance of a class. Okay. So, let's say we create a class as human, then the properties associated with it would be function could be there could also be classes created for um, soft objects. Example, I can create a class called as bank account which can have some attributes and some methods. Example, okay. So whenever I create a object of human class, the object is going to have the properties and I should be able to call these methods. Similarly, whenever I create an object of the bank account, the object is going to have these properties and these are the functions I can call for this bank account object. So Java is a pure object-oriented programming language. Now, when we create a Java program, the Java program is created with the extension .java. This .java file is then converted into during the time of compilation to a .class file. This .class file is the bytecode which is the reason for the Java to be architecturally neutral and portable. The .class file will execute on any system which has the JVM installed. So any system which will be having the JVM installed, we should be able to execute the .class file. So when Java was first introduced to the world, this became a very popular language. The reason being that we could run the Java program created in multiple operating systems, whether Windows, Linux, Mac, etc., which was earlier not known. Okay, so this is a very important feature of Java. So .java file is then converted into a .class, which will execute in any system which will have the JVM installed. Any questions in here? What is bytecode compiled program? Yes. So basically, the program which we will write is not written down using the 0110 machine level language, right? So once the program is compiled, it is converted from one programming language to the machine level language, the bytecode. Okay. Now let's see how do we write down our very first Java program. So the program which we are going to write down is called as Hello World. The purpose is just to print Hello World on screen. That's the purpose. So double click on the Eclipse icon. The very first thing which we are going to create is called as the workspace. Workspace is a space allocated to the system where all the Java projects will be available. So we are going to first create something called as a workspace where we will be creating further Java projects. So I've provided a path where the workspace will be created on the system. So once Eclipse is open, here close down this welcome window and go to file and say new Java project. Right now just pay attention to my system and then you can try this out later. Once you click on the Java project, it will ask you to provide a name. You have to choose the project specific GRE, Java Runtime Engine. That's what JRE stands for, Java Runtime Engine. Using this engine only, the program is executed. Click on next. Then we have to basically click on the finish to allow it to create different folder structure associated the JRE with the project, etc. So this is how the project which has been created looks like. Now in the src folder, right click and say new Java class here. This will create a Java class. Select that you want to choose public static void main method. Click on finish. Here type in the program hello world. Okay. So you write down the line system.out.println. This line is used to print something on the console window and hello world. Now click on this play icon to run the program and you will find hello world printed in here. Okay. So I'll give you guys 5 minutes. Try it out on your system. If in case you have any concern, let me know. So I'm leaving the screen as it is. Try it on your system, please. So is it working for you guys? Okay, great. So now let's have a look at some of the Java components of programming. Okay. So some of the words which you will be frequently seeing in a Java program are as follows: comments, package, reserved words, modifiers, statements, blocks, classes, methods, and the main method. So I'll explain them one by one. So comment is something which we write down in plain English, okay? And it is used to describe a particular section of a code. So what is a comment? Something which we write down in plain English, which is used to describe a particular section of a code, okay? It is either used to describe what that particular piece of code is doing or to provide meta information. So a comment could be a single line comment like this, or it could be a multi-line comment like this. This program prints hello world on the console window. This program is created. So this is basically meta information provided for a particular program, and you can have single line comment available as well. The second component which we have available is called as a package. A package is effectively a folder structure which is created which can contain similar functioning Java programs. Okay, so this is a default package. Let's go to the src folder, new, say package, and let's say I create a package called as demo. Here I can go ahead and create few classes, Java classes. So both these classes will be inside the package demo, and the first line of these program will be package demo. So the first line of the program will tell you to which particular package does this Java file belongs to. Okay. Now in Java we have got, either we can have our own user defined packages, or I can go ahead and import already available classes and packages and get my work done. So these are known as basically Java APIs. There are a lot of Java APIs available to us which helps us write down better programs. So this is a list of Java APIs. Okay, so Java basically is a very vast programming language, and a lot of things are already built in Java. Okay, you don't have to build anything from scratch. A lot of things are already available to you. So how do we use these packages and the classes available inside these packages for our work? For that, we use a keyword called as import, which imports a Java package or class within a package in our program, and then we create object of the class and use its methods to solve our problem. Okay, so a lot of Java packages are available. You have to import that package so as to get its classes within your program. Then you create object of one of the classes and you call its method to get your work done. We'll see an example of this when we will be using the scanner class, which is which takes input from the user. Okay, now if you look at this particular Java package list, just have a look at it. Can you tell me, do you see a package using which you can Work with databases. Is there a package available which allows you to work with databases? Java.sql. Excellent answer. So Java.sql indeed is a package which helps you with the working with the database. Now let's have a look at a package called as java.util. So click on it. Once you click on java.util, it will take you to the package information. So it talks about something called as interface. We will see that a little later. Then it talks about something class. Class is what? Where object, sorry, where the methods and the attributes are defined. So in this Java util, let's say we take a particular class called as time zone. Okay, you click on time zone. So let's try and read this documentation part. So java.util.timezone. So this is a class called as timezone available inside the util package. That's how we read this line. And it talks about the different information available in here. It talks about the two important attributes and the methods which are available inside this class. So get displayed name, get DST savings, get ID, get offset. So we basically can create an object of this class and call these methods available in here. For this, we have to effectively import this package into our program. So let me just show you this. So you write down this keyword as in java.util dot time zone. Okay. This basically allows you to import the class in your program. Now in here you create an object of the time zone class and you can go ahead and call its methods. Okay. So the minute I say time dot, I will be able to access its method. So let me explain this. Import is a keyword used to call an already existing class in your program. We then create object of the class and call its methods. New is used to create object of a class and dot is known as the accessibility operator which allows us to access the methods associated with the object of the class. Is this clear? So we'll see that eventually we will be doing a lot of this. Any questions? Is this clear? Okay. So the next component which we will be seeing in a Java program is called as the reserved keyword. Reserved word or keyword are basically those words which have got a specific meaning in the compiler and they cannot be used for any other purpose in the program. Okay. So these have specific meaning when we see them with the compiler. Example, public, static, void. These are all the reserved keywords. Then we have got the modifiers. Modifiers are those reserved keywords which help you define the accessibility scope for a method or a variable. So example, whether a variable or a method is a public, private or protected. Using these words, we can define them. So this is known as modifier, which is a subset of the reserved keyword. Then we have got statement. Statement is any line written down in a program which ends with the semicolon and generally displays an action or a sequence of action. For example, in our program, this is a statement which ends with the semicolon. Okay. Then you have got blocks. A block basically talks about the scope of a method or of a class. So we have two kinds of block, method block and class block. So this start curly brace, end curly brace is a method block. This start curly brace, end curly brace is a class block which defines the scope of the method and the class respectively. Then classes, I have just told you guys, it's a blueprint or a template from which objects are derived. And method is a group of statements which are written together to achieve a common function. So you can have user defined methods or you can also use system inbuilt methods. For example, system.out.println is a system inbuilt method which we use. And then you have got the main method. Main method, public static void main in brackets string args is the main method. It is basically the entry point of a program. So any Java program will enter the code through this line. This is the entry point of the Java program and put under execution. So I hope that all these components of Java are clear to you. So we have to understand that whenever we are learning a language, okay, whenever we are learning a programming language, it is important that we should be able to read it as well and write it. Okay. So reading and writing of a programming language or any language per se when we learn is crucial to master that language. So in the initial one or two classes, you will be seeing that we are concentrating our effort on how well we are able to read an already written Java program. So this concept which we have just finished is basically a important milestone in here where you understand the different components of Java. So you see any program in Java, you should be able to now make some sense out of it, as in what exactly are the different components. You can see it in there. So let me open a small program for you guys and ask you whether you are able to capture some of the information or not. So this is a Java program. You guys have to tell me, do you see a single line comment? Are there any package information available? Right. So, do you see modifiers? So modifiers are those reserved keywords which define the excess of a method and a variable. So yes, you can see modifiers like private, public. Do you see statements? Yes, you should be seeing statements. So any line which is ending with a semicolon is a statement. So the idea is that you open any Java program, should be able to recognize these components which are available in here. Okay. What is the purpose of the package? The purpose of the package is to act as a folder under which similar Java files can be stored together, Harry. So it's basically for the purpose of grouping. Okay, so whenever we are going to write down a program, we will have to learn to define something called as a variable, which is an entity which holds a value at the runtime. So during the time of execution, it is going to hold a value. So what type of value can Java variables hold? So this will come under the different types of data in Java. So broadly speaking, you have number, which can be int or float, which is decimal. Then you have got string data type, and then you have got Boolean data type. So these are the three data types which we generally see in Java. In number, you have short, you have int, you have float, you have long, and you have double. So they basically talk about the different types of ranges in which this particular data type can hold values. String is a collection of characters, and Boolean can only provide two values, true or false. Now, how do you define a variable? You say data type followed by variable name, or data type followed by variable name, assignment operator. So in here, this is known as the assignment operator, assigns the LHS value to the RHS. So basically value gets associated with the var name. So at runtime, wherever we have used var name, it will be replaced by the value. Example, I can say int, or let's say double radius is equal to 10.43. So whenever I'm going to use radius, its actual value 10.43 will be replaced during the time of execution. Any questions? Okay. So we'll write down a program to calculate area of a circle. But before we write down the program, let's write down the pseudocode or the logic. So the logic is define radius of the circle as 10.43. Define area variable. Calculate area is equal to 3.141 into radius print area. So this is the logic to calculate area of a circle. Now let's convert this into a program. So in here the first line is you will always be writing down the package information, then the class information. Remember, Java is case sensitive language and the name of the file is always same as the name of the class. So the first thing we define the radius. So double radius is equal to 10.43. Double area is equal to 0.0. This is also known as initialization. So you are initializing the variables to a default value. Okay. So area is equal to 3.141 into radius system.out.println area of circle is. So this is the output which we get. Have a look at this program. I hope you should be able to map each line with the pseudocode line written. So can we map? So let's run this program. We execute the program in similar manner and we get the output. Okay? I hope the program is clear to you guys. Okay. So we'll take a short break, guys, right now of 5 minutes. And after the break, we will talk about how we can take input from the end user and solve some of our problems. And we will have a few assignments for today. Okay. So I'll see you guys in next 5 minutes. During the break, my voice will be on mute and screen on hold. Thank you. Okay, resuming the session. So we will now talk about how we can take input from the end user. I hope you all have understood the small program of calculating area of a circle. Now let's try to write down a program to add two numbers. Okay. Now to add two numbers, let's say I write define number 1 as 20, define number 2 as define number 3. Number 3 is equal to number 1 plus number 2. Print number 3. Okay, so this is a simple program to add two numbers. So let's write down this program. So you define int a equal to 10, int b equal to so this is 20, int c equal to 0, c is equal to a plus b, system dot out dot println sum of two numbers okay. So if I run this program, it will give me an output of adding 20 with 89. So I get this output, okay. But let's say if I have to change the data from 20 to 10, 89 to 109 or whatever, I will have to go and open the program and change it only. There is no other way I can change it, okay. So a good way of writing down the program is to take input from the end user and make your program a bit more dynamic. So take input from the end user, we will be using the package called as java.util, which has a class called as scanner. The scanner class allows us to read input from the keyboard. Now, please understand this. Whenever we print to the console or read from the keyboard, the data is always in string. Okay. So whenever we print to the console or read from the keyboard, the data is always in the string format. So when we are going to use the scanner class and read the data from the keyboard, the data is going to be in the string format. Okay. So we first have to convert the string into acceptable data type and then use it in the program. To do so, we have got some inbuilt methods like .nextInt, .nextDouble, .nextBoolean, and simply .next. Okay, so .next will basically read the input from the keyboard and convert it into an integer. Double will read the input from the keyboard, convert it into a double value, and so on and so forth. So let's try and improve our program. So I want to write down a program to add two numbers and take input from the user. So here I will define an import statement java.util.scanner. Now I am going to create an object of the scanner class. So I say scanner scan is equal to new scanner system.in. This basically means that create a scanner object which reads information from the keyboard. Okay, so it is reading information from the keyboard. Now I say system.out.println, enter number 1. So a is equal to int next, a is equal to scan dot next int. Then you say enter number 2 and b is also equal to scan dot next int. So here the value will be taken at runtime, at the time of execution of the program, and once your work is done you are going to basically close the scan object. Okay, is this program clear? What is system.in? Okay, I'll explain that. So do you see that you have seen system.in and system.out in here being used? System.in refers to the input stream, input, to the read operation, to the keyboard. System.out refers to the output, to the write operation, to the console window. Okay? Make sense? So this is an example of the scanner class. So I'll give you a very small practice assignment to be done right now and try it out, please. So the practice assignment is write down a program to ask user to provide 3 numbers, print the average of them. So go ahead and try out this assignment right now, this practice. Write down a pseudocode and share the code snippet. You need not do it in Eclipse. You can simply write down in a notepad, and I have opened this. Try to write down the algorithm and the code snippet. So please attempt it. So if you are done with the pseudocode, please do share. So we have some answer. Very good. Good one, Harry. So you can try out. Always try to write down the pseudocode first and then try to convert that pseudocode into a program. Okay? So that should be the way you are going to write down the programs. Now, we will take a few assignments so that you guys can practice. Write down a program to calculate the area and perimeter of the following figures: circle, square, and rectangle. Ask end user to provide measurements. Okay, so I have to ask the user to provide what is the circle, what is the side of square and rectangle, and so on and so forth. Your second question is, write down a program to read information about a student and print the age provided in months. So you have to ask the person name, age, gender, class, and you have to print this information forming an English statement. Your third question is, your third question is, find out which Java package is used for file handling, mathematical function, okay, these two. So please practice the assignments and please have a look at the concepts which we have discussed today. Okay, going forward, I just wanted to explain how our course will be moving. In case you guys have query, feel free to let me know. So we are going to spend a few more hours on Java as a programming language. So we started with the first class on Java today. We are going to spend some time on learning basics of Java, where I'll be teaching you about the logical statements in Java, conditional statements and looping statements. We will then be seeing the string data type, the numerical operators, the Boolean operators, and string methods. We will then be moving on to learning data structures in Java, arrays and hashes, file handling, and object-oriented concepts in Java, as well as regular expressions. Once that is done, we'll then be moving on to learning Selenium WebDriver, where we'll understand WebDriver, the different web elements, advanced web elements, and we will talk about the concept of TestNG, Maven. We will see how we can use framework like Hybrid and Keyword to create our automation scripts. So that's how the course is divided. We are in the week second, and we will be having around, it's a 5 week course. Okay, so this is week 2, 3, 4, and fifth. Okay, so around about 13th evening EST should be the last class. Okay. The recordings I've sent Harry, I'll just check whether in case I forgot to forward the mail. I have uploaded and sent the recordings, but I'll check again. Okay. So we have to understand that when we have started learning Java, the more we are able to write with hand, the better it will be, because it's a programming language and it is a very practical programming language. So you cannot learn Java by theoretically talking about it or just listening about it. You have to sit and get your hand dirty. So set out a schedule in your week, okay, where you will be dedicated and be disciplined enough to spend some time practicing Java programs and doing these assignments. So I hope you all will be able to find that time in your schedule. Any questions you guys have? Okay then. Thanks a lot everyone for your time. I hope you all had a good session. I'll see you all tomorrow then for the class. Take care. Bye everyone.